Hey everyone, welcome to Adventures in Everyday Cooking, where every day can be an adventure in your kitchen. My name is Heather and today we're making hoagie rolls. If you know what a hoagie roll is, basically it's just a long roll that you can stuff goodies inside of. Later this week, I'm gonna make Philly cheesesteak, and so I thought, instead of buying my own rolls, let's make some from scratch. So if you're ready for this adventure, let's get started. What you're going to need is 4 cups or 480 grams of all-purpose flour, 2 teaspoons or 12 grams of salt, 1 teaspoon or 4 grams of instant yeast, 4 tablespoons or 40 grams of heavy cream, 1 1/4 cups or 300 grams of water. All right, you guys, if you have never made hoagie rolls before, I wanted to tell you that this is a very easy recipe, but it's gonna take a hot minute for you to put together. It's actually only about 5 minutes of active time, but we have several hours of wait time in between letting our yeast and our bread proof and all of that stuff. So if you are making this for a meal that's gonna happen in the next 2 hours or so, just skip it. You're gonna need to make a different yeasted roll, maybe a quick bread or something. This is not that. We're actually going to take about 5 to 6 hours to complete this recipe. But like I said, only about 5 minutes of active time. So let's get to this. Now, before we totally start, you're gonna need a stand mixer. You're also gonna need a pastry mat, and you're gonna need some sort of pan lined with either parchment or, as I have here, this baking mat that's for baguettes or for my hoagie rolls. Oftentimes when I make this recipe, I will use this because it just helps them retain their shape a little better and they come out just a little bit better. This is not required. I will leave a link to this product in the info of this video, but I love this. It's made of silicone. It bakes great in the oven. And bonus, parchment paper is only rated to about 450 or so, and this is rated up to like 600 degrees, which means that this has no burning possibilities when I put it into my 475 oven later. So that's why I like to use this. But you can use parchment, just be aware that you may have to watch it so that you don't have a fire in your oven. Lots of people put it in at 475 and it's fine, but I'm just letting you know. Okay? All right. Now, the other thing is, if you don't have a stand mixer, you can incorporate this by hand, but if you have a stand mixer, get it out. Put on the dough hook. It will save your bacon. There's no bacon in this recipe, I wish. So let's get our flour in, our salt in, and our yeast in. All right, we're gonna start that on low, just to incorporate those ingredients together. And that's it. Okay, now we're gonna add all of the wet ingredients while the mixer is on low. And as soon as you see all of it come together, set a timer for 30 seconds and turn it up to medium. So I'm saying all this now because I'm gonna be watching it, and I want to make sure that you understand that at the moment it comes together, set your timer for 30 seconds and only mix it for 30 seconds on medium. We're gonna start on low, then we're gonna go to medium. All right, let's do this. So in goes my cool water, my oil, and my heavy cream. All right, and I got out a spatula here because, as you can see, this kind of stuck to the sides a little bit. So I'm just gonna coax it down just a bit. All right, and once you see it, almost all of that flour incorporated, we're gonna turn to medium and start a timer for 30 seconds. All right, at the end of 30 seconds, we're gonna give the bowl a quick scrape down and just make sure that no flour is remaining at the bottom. And look at that, there's flour at the bottom. So we're gonna stir that once, and then we're gonna get it back on medium for about another 30 seconds, and that's it. Like, regardless of how much is mixed in, I don't wanna mix this dough. So let's do it, 30 seconds. Okay, and that's it. Now I wanna show you exactly what your dough should look like. All right, your dough should look like this. Very sticky, but kind of shaggy And that is perfect. Now what we're going to do is we're gonna let this rest covered for 20 minutes. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the dough hook inside the machine. I am going to grab a towel and I am going to put it right over the top of the bowl, and we're gonna let it sit here for 20 minutes. Okay, it's been 20 minutes, and now what we're going to do is we're gonna knead this with our dough hook for another 30 seconds on medium, and that's it. So lift up your bowl, start on medium. All right, and that's it. Let me show you what the dough looks like. So as you can see, it's getting a little stretchier, still awfully sticky, but that is perfect. So what we're going to do is take off the dough hook. We're gonna rest it inside the bowl like we've already done. And I'm actually going to scrape down the sides just a little bit so that all of the dough is kind of in there together. And I'm gonna scrape off my dough hook, but I'm gonna leave the dough hook inside. And why is that? It's because I don't want the dough hook to dry out. And we're gonna cover this and let it rest another 20 minutes. And at the end of 20 minutes, we are gonna do the exact same thing. So I'm gonna reinstall my dough hook, lift it up, and get it on for 30 seconds on medium, no more, just 30 seconds. Okay, now we are done with our stand mixer. So we're gonna get this right out and onto our, nope, we're not gonna get it out. We're just gonna get it off the machine. So I'm gonna remove the dough hook, and I wanna show you what the dough looks like. Hold on. All right, and as you can see here, we have a super stretchy dough, but it's still kind of falling apart-y. I'm gonna tip this dough right onto the counter for just a moment, and I wanna show you what it looks like after. I'm gonna wet my hands, and I'm just gonna play with it for just probably about 15 seconds. So with wet hands, so it doesn't stick, I'm gonna pick it up, and I'm gonna fold it over like I would be doing for some sourdough. And why is that? Because I want it to just kind of do the same thing that sourdough does. I want to stretch that gluten a little bit, but it's gonna be generally sticky, and we're just gonna play with it just a little bit. I'm trying to decide if I feel like it's too sticky. It might be just a little bit sticky, so let me grab just a teeny tiny bit of flour. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take just a tiny bit of flour and sprinkle it over the top, like we're talking half a teaspoon. And then I am going to lift it up and fold it in on itself a couple times. So just like that. And that half a teaspoon, I think, did it. Now I feel like that's the dough that we're looking for. So that's all it took, just another half a teaspoon. So you want it to be sticky, but you don't want it to be super sticky. So see this? See how it's not sticky right there? That's perfect. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna get it back into my bowl. So we're gonna just drop it right down in the bottom, and we are going to cover it with plastic wrap. And now we get to take a break for 2 whole hours. Now I'm gonna leave this covered in a very warm spot. It needs to be 75 to 80 degrees because we want to encourage this dough to rise to its full potential. So for 2 hours, I'm gonna put it somewhere warm. Then at the end of 2 hours, we'll come back and I'll show you what to do next. We'll see you in 2 hours. Onto the oven it goes. All right, we're back and it's been 2 hours. So let me show you what our dough looks like. Nice and fluffy in there. We're gonna tip it out onto our pastry mat. If you do not have a pastry mat, it's fine. A lightly floured counter will do just fine. And now we're gonna divide this dough into 5 equal parts for each one of my holes right here. In fact, I'm gonna lightly spray my silicone baking mats here. If you're worried about splitting your dough into 5 pieces, 6 will work just fine. They'll just be a little shorter, but since I have 5, we're gonna do 5. So we're just gonna eyeball it and cut it as such. And I'm just using the same scraper I used earlier so as I don't have to dirty up another one. And you just want them to be generally equal sizes. And you can definitely take a little piece off of this one to put onto that one. My last one is always bigger than everything else. That's fine. I'll just trim it off and be like, okay, this guy needs a little more. This guy needs a little more. If you really wanted to be technical, you could totally just measure them with a scale, but I'm not technical. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, I'm getting my hands wet with water. This is just water. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna stretch it and then we're gonna fold it into a roll, kind of like you were doing a baguette or something similar. So we're gonna just do a hoagie kind of like that. We're gonna roll it, stretch it. It needs to be about 5 or 6 inches. So let's see here. We have 2, 4, 5. It's perfectly 5 inches. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna lift it up and we're gonna set it right into our pan right over here. And it doesn't have to be perfect. You are not a professional. I am not a professional. I'm a home baker, okay? Wet hands again, we're gonna do the same thing. So I'll take this one over here, we're gonna stretch, we're gonna fold in, and then we're gonna pinch and fold up and over and tuck and fold and tuck and fold. Be gentle, be gentle. You don't wanna push all of the beautiful air out of the center of this. Then we wanna make sure that we're about 5, 6 inches and we're gonna put right into our pan. And if you want to see that again, large stretch, fold in, fold up, fold over, gentle, gentle, gentle. That one kind of has a little bit of a mental gentle. Okay, and up and over. All right, and check it out. There are our 6 hoagie rolls. We're gonna stretch some parchment over the top and we are gonna spray it with oil so that nothing sticks and leave it to rise for 2 to 3 hours or until they are noticeably more fluffy. If you need to take a picture, take your picture so that you know that they are noticeably larger and fluffier. Usually, in my warm house, it takes about 2 hours, sometimes 2 hours and a half, but never has it taken 3. But that doesn't mean it's not going to take 3. We're in the middle of winter. But I'm in a new place. It's Texas. It's possible that it will only take 2 hours. So I'm gonna set my timer for 2 hours and then I will be back to check on them and we will get them in and get them cooked. So right over the top. Oh, rude. My plastic wrap is not long enough to cover. So what I'm going to do is just lightly cover. Man, this plastic wrap is really sticking down. I'm a little worried about that. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna make an executive decision. I'm gonna take another baking sheet. I'm going to cover over the top and then I'm gonna put some plastic wrap around it as well, just so I can ensure that no draft gets in, but that way that plastic wrap is not sticking to the top of my dough, because if it sticks really hard to the top of your dough, it will prevent it from rising. So I really don't want that. So I'm just going to seal my edges like so, and I'll even use, this is disgusting because it's all greasy, but maybe I'll do greasy side up, so that I don't waste that plastic wrap. And wrap my edges, and there we go. Okay, I'll be back here in 2 hours to show you how they've puffed and they look beautiful. So I'm gonna get it in a warm place. I'll see ya. Okay, the time is up. These are all proofed. I peeked a little bit and look at how beautiful these are. And now how can you tell if your rolls are proofed and ready to go? You're gonna wanna poke them. And if they leave a little indent, then you know that they're ready. So you want to preheat your oven to 475 and we're going to bake them for about 18 to 20 minutes or until they're golden brown and they look fantastic. Now, I realized that I got my measurements off a little bit. I said 5 to 6 inches. It was actually 7 to 8 inches. So these guys may rise into each other. It's not a huge deal. It just means that my bannetons here, or whatever these things are called, are not probably going to contain them. They're going to grow a little bit further and they may stick together. I think I was thinking 5 to 6 if I made 6 rolls. So if I made 6, not 5, it's 5 to 6 inches. But if you make only 5, it's 7 to 8. Anyhow, now we are going to spritz them heavily with water. And we're going to do a heavy spray. So you want to see the water like pooling on the top of this bread. Like that, all right? Into the oven it goes. I'll see you in about 18 minutes. And we are done. Look at those beautiful hoagie rolls. So if you have ever wanted to make hoagie rolls before today and you thought, man, that's just a little bit too hard. Really, you saw everything that I did, and yet look how beautiful those are. I encourage you to try it out. Check these beautiful rolls out. They didn't stick together, thank goodness, but they were close. But look at these beauties. And as you can see at the top of them, you have all of these little blisters. Those blisters are from that water that are on top, and it makes the top a little bit crispy and delicious. These guys are a sure treat. Now, they need to cool completely before you break into them, but you can use them in your favorite hoagie recipe, which this week we're making Philly cheesesteak. So you'll have to tune in for the next video to see those Philly cheesesteaks. But you guys, hoagie rolls. Yes, it took a little while to make those, but you saw the effort was minimal and the results are beautiful. All right, you guys, well, if you enjoyed that video, give it a like, share it with your friends, and subscribe to my channel. I do videos several times a week, and I'm always looking for the next adventure. So if you got one for me, leave it in the comments below. Otherwise, I will see you on the next adventure. Bye. For those of you who are still sticking around, I bet you want to see the inside of these. Well, you're in luck. I'm going to cut to my Philly cheesesteak video right now and show you what's on the inside. Oh, yeah, look at that. Look at the stretchy, beautiful texture of that hoagie.